Pruneta. Welcome to the Inside Scoop College Life Edition, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of higher education. Join me today as I interview students from top universities, unraveling the mysteries of college life. Gain firsthand insights, anecdotes, and invaluable advice to navigate the exciting and challenging journey of higher education. Whether you're a prospective student or curious about the collegiate experience, this podcast is your backstage pass to the real stories behind those prestigious university gates. So today I'm here with Claudia Del Rio of Georgetown University. Thank you, Claudia, for joining today.
Thank you, Ava. Happy to be here.
So first, we're going to start off with a quick little insight to your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at Georgetown University.
My name's Claudia, and I was born and raised here in McAllen, and I went to Sharyland for high school. And I really enjoyed my high school experience, but ever since I was little, I was kind of like enthralled by the idea of like going out of state for college, just because it's 4 years where you can get to pick a place and experience like a completely new environment, new people, different cultures, perspectives. And actually the moment me deciding to go to Georgetown kind of like dates back to a specific moment. In sixth grade, I went to like my like field trip to Washington, D.C. And I remember touring campus. And, although I was very little and still didn't have like an exact idea of like my career goals or academic interests, I just really loved and fell in love with the Georgetown campus. And I remember thinking to myself that day, like, this is where I want to go to school. And, growing up, I kind of like refined my academic interests a little bit, kind of like decided a little bit more what I was interested in pursuing. And then I realized that Georgetown did kind of align perfectly with that. And not to mention Washington, D.C. is kind of like the place to be if you're interested in, government, anything in business, any industry that you can think of. Washington, D.C. is like a hub for most industries. So that's another great part of, or one of like the pull factors that drew me to Georgetown. And just to tell you a little bit more about like, back when I was in your shoes and, thinking about colleges and, applying and trying to like get everything ready. Well, in Sharyland, I was very involved with like mock trial and like kind of like public speaking and debate. So I knew that really interested me. But when thinking of like what I wanted to major in college, I really was kind of leaning towards business. So, I looked into Georgetown's McDonough School of Business, which I'm now a junior in. And it seemed really like a great fit for me. And I was also involved in like some business clubs just to kind of start like, I did like a wide range of extracurriculars just to kind of start realizing like what I was good at, what I liked the most, etc.
Going back to the campus and everything about it, what it has to offer. So Georgetown does have a distinct campus and history. So can you share some of your favorite traditions or events that make your experience at Georgetown special?
I'd say like the most special tradition, it's like, well, Georgetown is a really old campus with a long history, like lots of notable alumni. And you really like when you go to Georgetown, you have the opportunity to really like take advantage of that and really like immerse yourself deeply into its like rich history. And there are like monthly speaker events, some notable ones that I've been to. I saw like Mike Pence, Hillary Clinton, and even a Georgetown professor's Madeleine Albright. So there's a lot of like opportunities to just learn from like some of the most renowned minds in the country, which is really great. And I urge you, if you end up at Georgetown, to really take advantage of it because it's really great learning experience. So that's really great. Also, my apartment building is right across from the chapel that Biden goes to every week. So it's just really cool to say like, oh, I like peek out my window and see Joe Biden every Sunday. You can't really get that anywhere else. But, for like Georgetown traditions, we have Georgetown Day. which happens in May, kind of like right before finals kick off in the spring. And it's really fun. It's kind of just like a day where like all students all across campus, we just kind of like unite, and like there are like fun events on campus. Even professors and staff get involved in like the Georgetown Day festivities, and it's really fun. The like purpose of it is to promote mental health and help everyone kind of blow off some steam before finals. So that's another really fun tradition. And it also just kind of depends on like what clubs you're involved in, but every club on campus has opportunities to go to like excursions to museums, which DC has some of the best museums in the country, or even like runs to the monuments or little things like that that are just really special.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like so much fun. So going back to like the organizations you were in high school and mentioning the ones at Georgetown. So in what ways has your experience in different student organizations and Greek life contributed to building connections and fostering a sense of community within this rich cultural and academic environment?
When I was applying to Georgetown, I obviously like did my research on the school and, saw that it has lots of like clubs and organizations. And as you said, I'm in Greek life, and Greek life isn't like super popular or over the top in Georgetown and some of these like East Coast schools as it is down here in the South. But it's still a really great opportunity because it's kind of like you get in what you put out in that experience. So it's kind of like laid back in the sense where it's like you can, like still be focused on your academics and, like focus on other things going on, but then have like a really great community to fall back on and, like hang out with. There are great like sisterhood events and basically all the benefits of a sorority minus like the added pressure, which is really great. And I'm also involved in some business clubs on campus because, as I said, I'm in the McDonough School of Business, and my majors are international political economy and marketing, and I'm getting a minor in journalism. So that kind of like opens the door to like pre-professional clubs. And at Georgetown and some of these like East Coast schools, clubs can be pretty difficult to get into because to kind of prepare you for the workforce and, like application for internships and jobs post-college, they try to like mirror that in their application process. So, it's like 2 rounds of interviews with like current members in the club. And, although it can be a little scary, I do urge you to take the risk and, like go through the application process because it does really help you. And these clubs are great resources for like networking opportunities and, like professional like education for whatever it is you're interested in. Like there are like real estate clubs on campus and like finance clubs. I'm in an impact investing club, which is really interesting because we learn like the basic principles of like investing. So like all of that, but we do it in a way where it's like we're investing in companies and stocks that are like ESG friendly. So it's really great. Like whatever your interests are and whatever you want to get involved in or learn more about, there's definitely like an avenue for that. And it does really help like build community because you do get really close with these people that you're working with.
That sounds like amazing opportunities to just like pursue your passions, do what you want. Because Georgetown has something for everybody, so being in the heart of Washington, D.C., it must offer a one-of-a-kind experience. So how has studying at Georgetown in such a politically and culturally dynamic city shaped your academic journey and your personal growth?
So one of the reasons, as I said, I wanted to go out of state, it can be a little bit daunting at first because I did go to Georgetown like without knowing anyone, and it was like a completely new city and, with new people, and it was a little bit daunting. But I do urge you, if you're considering going out of state or, applying to a non-Texas school, you do so because it's so formative in like every sense, really, like educationally, personally, professionally, socially, because DC, it's such a like global city. So even just like in my classes or just walking around campus, you hear people speaking in like different languages. And it's just so interesting to be around so many people with like different backgrounds and viewpoints, and just like getting to work with these people in like a classroom setting is really great because you just learn a lot from everyone, including your professors too. And I think that DC is really special in that way because it is kind of like a global hub for people and professionals from all over the world. So that's definitely really great. And also, just as I said, like being in DC, you get really unique opportunities and you get to tap into kind of like the political heart of our country, if you will. And all the embassies from nations all over the world are also in DC. So that's another great opportunity. Specifically for me, how I feel that this shaped my own career goals is, I kind of went into the business school and I was like not sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I was just really inspired by all of the experiences that I was facing in DC and decided to do international business just to kind of like continue on that trek because it really is formative and it's great.
It's amazing to hear about like all these different opportunities that Georgetown and the city of DC has provided you, because I think that's useful for anybody
Yeah.
going to any like out of state college. You get all these new things that you typically wouldn't get like at a local or like in-state school, although they do provide opportunities, but these like international ones, like that's amazing to hear.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as I said, it was a little bit scary at first,
Yeah.
but definitely worth it. It really opens up broadens your horizons, opens new doors, and just things that you wouldn't have maybe considered at first suddenly become a possibility and allows you to explore it further.
Considering your journey from high school to Georgetown University, what advice would you give high school students aspiring to attend a prestigious university like Georgetown?
Yeah, I have lots of advice for that question. Um, my first piece of advice would be, besides the given where it's, like work hard to get the best grades you can and, like prepare yourself, that's all a given. But deeper than that, I would say to just really like look inwards when you're going through your college application journey, because I feel like that's something that like students often overlook, because you're so focused on how can I make myself a good applicant for this school rather than how am I a good fit with this school and what do I have to offer them. So I think definitely if I were going through like my college application journey again, I would definitely advise people to kind of like focus on what your interests are and what you're passionate about, because inevitably that will be what you're most successful in the long run. And also, I know Georgetown has like an interview process in the application, but the interview I think was really helpful because it allows you to learn more about the school while also being able to showcase all the positives that you have and what makes you stand out as an applicant. And yeah, I would also say people, this, I was kind of like guilty of this too, but once you get into a prestigious school, it's easy to just start looking forward to when you're getting there. But I would also urge you to really think about what you're interested in pursuing with your degree and research all of the degree options that the school that you're planning on attending offers, because there are a lot of majors and minors that you find out about and you're, very interested in, but you didn't know about before. And, it's totally normal to like get to college and not be sure what you're going to do, but it's nice to be well researched and, like aware of all the opportunities that your school offers so that you can kind of tailor your journey a little bit further down that road. And another piece of advice I would have when going to a prestigious school, I know there's a lot of like imposter syndrome that occurs. And just because, these schools, it's easy to feel like a fish out of water because it's lots of people from different backgrounds or I don't know, like different things where it's kind of like definitely a culture shock at first. But I would say in that sense, it's just kind of like stay true to yourself, which sounds super cheesy, but it's true. And, like stay true to like your values. And it's, it might seem a little scary, but you eventually do find your group of people that have the same interests and values as you. So, and just kind of like stay focused, work hard, and yeah, just don't be afraid to explore new interests or take new risks.
No, I love that because some kids, they're scared to like go into a different they just like to be in their comfort zone and it's understandable because we're used to it. You're going from your house to living alone, even like in a different state. Like I've heard it can be hard and I'm like looking out for that too because I have different options in state and out of state, also Georgetown being one of the main ones. Um and yeah, I mean, was great advice, great stories. Thank you so much for all this. So today I'm here with Stefano Boyer of Princeton University. Thank you for joining me today to chat,
Thank you for having me.
of course. So first, we're going to get started. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at Princeton University.
So I'm currently a third year physics major at Princeton. I'm also on the pre-med track. Why I decided to pursue a degree. When I first actually got into the university, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to do something in physics, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to specialize in. And Princeton, I knew had a great physics department and had a very interdisciplinary department, which I'll go into a little more afterwards. And one other thing about Princeton that made me want to come here is they're quite aggressive undergrad focus. Other universities have graduate schools and medical schools and law schools. Princeton only has the undergraduate college and a grad school, and that is it. So
Oh, wow.
most of the funding the university has is directed towards the undergraduates. And you can tell, like being a student here, you notice it.
Back to what you said about the interdisciplinary approach. So Princeton is known for that. So how have you integrated your physics major with pre-med requirements? And have you discovered any unique opportunities for collaboration or research that bridge these two fields together?
Very much so. So I first noticed how one big thing that Princeton does to sort of like emphasize integratedness of different fields. In your first year, you can either take the normal science courses like biology 101 or like principles of biology, chemistry, introduction to chemistry, or you can take what's called the integrated science curriculum, which is what I did, which it basically combos a year of physics, a year of chemistry, a semester of biology, and a semester of computer science. And instead of teaching them to you as like separate subjects, it shows you how they all sort of interweave with each other. For one really quick example, you learn like in separate classes, you'll learn about thermodynamics, and it's mainly like either chemistry or biology topic, which as it turns out, it's actually like there are approximations of these equations from physics, and it turns out the raw physics equations are very useful in modeling biological phenomena. And which brings me to my next point as to like opportunities I found here. I discovered that the field of biophysics exists thanks to that class.
Mhm.
And thankfully, we have a good number of faculty here who do biophysics research. So now I am working in a lab with Robert Austin, who does cancer research. I'm actually writing a paper right now on the dynamics of the tumor cell cycle.
Wow.
So just like a really quick blurb about that. Basically, a cell when it grows, it has checkpoints as it grows and eventually splits in two. And tumors ignore those checkpoints.
Mhm.
And we're trying to find out why. And if there's a way to like force them to take the checkpoints into account.
So like that's one of the opportunities that pre-med and physics has given you.
Right.
With Princeton being all the way in New Jersey, did you or do you ever feel homesick or uncomfortable? And if so, how did you overcome this or deal with these like different new feelings?
Homesick at times, yes. I did feel homesick, and it is a very far. It's like almost 12 hours of traveling
That's
to
great.
get from the valley to Princeton. So yeah, there were times I felt homesick. But that being said, I felt it for like a week maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, the town is extremely cozy. Princeton is kind of isolated from the rest of the world, so much so that we call it the orange bubble. And because of that, you sort of only interact with the university.
Mm-hmm.
So you get very intimate with people here. And on top of that, it's a diverse school. So there's affinity groups. So I would my first 2 years, I would hang out with like the Latino Association
Mhm.
or the Physics Society or the Computer Science Society or whatever else. So while at first it is a little bit jarring to
Mhm.
adapt to school so far away, I mean, most people are also from far away.
Yeah.
I have friends. I have friends who are students from China.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah. The diversity is like you can feel it.
yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah, that's good. So, considering your journey from high school all the way to Princeton, what advice would you give current high school students who aspire to attend a top tier Ivy League like Princeton?
I would say find your passion and do it well.
Mhm.
It's not just because that's the main thing I've seen here. Everyone who is here more or less had like was really interested in one thing. So for my freshman year roommates, they were really interested in engineering and mathematics, and then the other guy was econ. And it wasn't just like, oh yes, I read the Financial Times every now and then. It was like he would like the econ guy at least, he would basically do like analyses of entire businesses in his free time
Oh my
for
gosh.
for no reason. And he would like do competitions and stuff. The mathematician, he started doing math, proof-based math, like in high school. He built his own 3D printer when he was in sixth grade or something. Like,
My gosh.
and then the craziest example I've seen here, there's a guy who I met in the integrated science class who's from Hong Kong. I believe, if I heard this correctly, he owns a biotech company.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to own, I don't own a biotech company and I'm here, obviously. But what I did, I was interested in physics and like in high school, I was interested in physics. I read a lot of advanced physics books, a lot of advanced math books, and I sort of like, and eventually I was able to conduct my own research in, at the time, astrophysics, which is what I was interested in high school. As cheesy as it sounds, be yourself, but do it well.
Yes, like find something and stick to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. So, thank you for these stories and this advice that you've given today. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
no problem.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with Olivia Source of UT. And thank you, Olivia, for being here and taking the time to chat.
Of course, thank you for inviting me to go do this with you.
Of course. So, first, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at the University of Texas.
Yeah, so I'm a current third-year student at UT. I chose to go to Texas because I was always hearing awesome things about UT. My older brother went to UT, and I loved visiting him here in Austin. I liked the idea of being close to home, but also getting an awesome academic life as well as like student life at UT. When I was in high school, I always thought I was going to go pre-med until I joined an extracurricular business organization with friends. And then that kind of led me into deciding to major in a business field. And so that kind of impacted my choice to apply to UT even more just because of like how well renowned McCombs is.
Awesome. So, on that note of the Austin life and balancing like your social life with school, so balancing academics and extracurriculars is crucial. So, can you share your experience managing the demands of being a business major while actively participating in sorority life at UT? And how has this balance impacted your overall college experience?
Yeah, I definitely joined extracurriculars at UT just because I wanted to make sure that I was joining a community at such a large school. But being like a business major and like balancing all my extracurriculars, I had to make sure that I was managing my time properly. So every semester, I make sure to like jot down all of my events and all of my meetings, assignments, exam deadlines, just to make sure that I kind of have like an overview from week to week or month to month and like make sure that I'm on top of my deadlines. And yeah, I'm really happy that I got to join extracurriculars at UT. Like for example, like my sorority, I get to meet other students that are in my major. So I get like professor recommendations from them, or we have like study sessions set up like within the sorority. And then as well, I got to join other orgs, such as like Women in Business, where I kind of just get to meet other students and get to network with them while I'm here at UT.
That's awesome. I love that. So, speaking of the Women in Business organization, so navigating a traditionally male-dominated field, how has your experience been as a female business major at the University of Texas?
A business major is usually male dominated, especially like when I'm going to like finance courses. I find that there's a lot of male students that, you know, kind of have a little bit more of a background in the business field. But I really think that McCombs offers a lot of resources for us. There is an organization that I joined my first year called Women in Business. It's ran by completely just women, and they organize like networking events. They provide like immersive experiences for us, so we get to kind of get to feel like of different fields and different roles in the business world. So I think that they offer a lot of like resources and mentors. And honestly, being a female student, you don't really feel any different than our male counterparts, just because of all the resources that we get as like the student body as a whole.
That's awesome. So, in your third year as a business major at UT, have you noticed any specific opportunities opening up along with the ones you mentioned that align with your career goals? And how has the university played a role in providing resources or experiences that contribute to your professional development?
Yeah, definitely. UT, and like especially McCombs, they offer so many resources. Like just the first year alone, they'll just be throwing resources and opportunities at you. It's sort of overwhelming, but it's really important to like take advantage of all of them. My first year at UT, I took a course that was sort of like a preparation course where they walk you through building your resume, building a LinkedIn profile. They set up recruitment combs, and like that's sort of like a platform where you're able to network and look at other like career opportunities. There's also a career center. So they have like plenty of resources. Going into my third year, I'm still trying to figure out like what career path I want to go into. But this year I started working as a leasing agent, like student housing, and I was able to give a tour of like the property. And when I was giving the tour, the individuals were asking me like where I was going to school, what I was studying, and I told them, oh, well, you know, I'm going to McCombs. I'm thinking of going into like finance, maybe real estate. Turned out that the individuals that I was touring went to McCombs. They were alumni, and they work for like a private equity firm that like specialize in investing like in student housing real estate. They found me on Recruit McCombs. They found my LinkedIn. I just thought, oh my gosh, like McCombs, like this the network you don't even realize. You know, I set up my LinkedIn, my Recruit McCombs my freshman year, and now I'm in my junior year. And these platforms that I set up, they're finding me on just from like working at my job and giving a tour. So I think that they do a really good job at setting you up and giving you the resources to help with like your professional development for sure.
That's crazy. That's so like,
Yeah.
wow, that's like
Yeah.
a coincidence.
Yeah.
Wow. So considering your journey, like from high school to the University of Texas, Macomb School of Business, what advice would you give high school students aspiring to pursue a business degree at the university known for its dynamic academic and social environment like UT?
I would say to like definitely approach, you know, college application process with like an open mind. You know, you're going in with the idea of not only your academic, you know, life, but also the student life, the campus environment, student community. Make sure that you're working hard in high school, and just, you know, setting yourself up for your future is like what's most important. But yeah, I mean, I think the best thing to do is to go in with the idea of college is not only, you know, your education, but it's just like a world of opportunities, and just knowing that like, you know, to take these 4 years as like your opportunity to just soak in as much as you can, because you're going to be overwhelmed with all of the experiences and things that you're able to do.
So thank you for that advice and your stories. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat and give advice and share different experiences, a different perspective.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming, but just, everyone goes through college with a little bit of imposter syndrome, but you definitely find your way.
So today I'm here with Derek Gomez of the University of Texas at Austin. Thank you for joining me today, Derek.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. So first, let's start with a little bit about your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at the University of Texas.
I was born and raised in McAllen, Texas, and currently I'm a junior at the Macomb School of Business at UT. And I decided to pursue a degree at UT for a couple of reasons. The first one being that I grew up a Longhorn fan as a kid. Just grew up a huge fan of Longhorn athletics, and my family was as well. So we would always come visit campus and visit the city of Austin to go watch football games or baseball games. And each time that we went to Austin, I just kept falling in love with the city and with the campus. It just started to feel like home. I also have family that lives in Austin too, so we would go visit them. And so just exploring the different parts of Austin with them, I just started to love the city that much more. And the other reason being that the Macomb School of Business at UT is one of the top business schools in the nation. I really started to get that passion for business as a kid, just seeing my dad as a business owner, watching him run his business. I would talk to him about it all the time. And that really just started to fuel my passion for it. So, really, just me loving the city of Austin, loving UT's campus from visiting growing up. And the fact that I wanted to pursue a business degree also, it just all kind of seemed like the perfect fit. And that's ultimately why I decided to go to UT.
So, on that note about the business school, in your third year as a business major, internships and hands on experiences often become crucial. So, can you discuss any internship opportunities you've pursued or any practical insights you've gained that have influenced your understanding of your field?
During my time at UT so far, I've pursued a couple of internship opportunities, and the first one being an internship with the Texas baseball team. So when I first got to UT, I really thought I wanted to go into finance and work in Wall Street and do the whole big thing in New York in the financial district. But when I got to UT and I really saw what it was like just based on classes I took, professors or faculty just talking about their experiences as investment bankers or analysts in Wall Street, and even upperclassmen that I knew at the time that were doing that. I just knew that it wasn't for me. So I really dug deep and really looked into my passions. And of course, I was passionate about business, right? But I'm also very passionate about sports. And I mentioned that before, that I grew up as a big Longhorn athletics fan. I wanted to put those passions together. So I decided to really focus on working in the business of sports. So I pursued an internship with the Texas baseball team because baseball is one of my favorite sports. And I just really wanted to get that hands on experience. So currently, I'm a video and analytics intern for the Texas baseball team, and I really love it. And another one I pursued actually happened this past summer. I worked for the RGVFC Toros soccer team. I was a sales and marketing summer intern, and that was a really awesome job too, just because I really got to learn a lot about the business of a sports organization. I got to see the behind the scenes of the sales team and the marketing team and how they kind of collaborate. And it was pretty, those two experiences I would say were pretty awesome. And those are a couple I pursued since I've been at UT.
Wow, that's amazing. Sounds like you're on the right track to pursuing what you really want to do and a dream career of yours. And not only do internships provide you experience, but in the business world, networking and building connections become increasingly important. So, how have you engaged with the business community at UT? And how have these connections played a role in shaping your career aspirations or providing mentorship?
Yeah, so the great thing about Macombs and UT itself is that there are ways to network and connect with people in pretty much any industry you can think of. There's always career fairs or speaking events for finance or marketing or consulting. Well, luckily for me at UT, there's also a business of sports summit that students can attend as well. I mean, networking, you hear it a lot in the business world. It's kind of cliche that a cliche saying or thing that, networking is like the big thing, right? Like you have to network and people tell you all the time, like networking is the number one thing. Well, it's true. And I'll tell you why. So I went to the first UT Business of Sports Summit in 2022. I was a sophomore at the time, and that's, when I really started to figure out, okay, I want to be in the business of sports, so I'm going to go to this networking event and just kind of throw my name out there, talk to different people from different companies, and just see what it's all about. And so one of the people I met was the lead analytics guy at the time for the UT baseball team. His name is Ben Howell. He now works for the San Diego Padres. I told him I was very interested. I learned a little bit about the internship opportunity, so I just saw him there. I decided, I'm just going to talk to him, really try and sell myself, tell him, how much I know about the game of baseball, how passionate I am about it, and just that I really look forward to an opportunity to even, sit down and have a meeting with him about possibly interning. And well, when the more we started talking, he told me like, hey, just come to the field and, and we'll get you set up and we'll talk more. And so from that
Wow.
point on, so from that point on is when I got the internship with the Texas baseball team. So that's just one little anecdote from me about how important networking is, because it can land you an opportunity like that, like it did for me. And also just building relationships with other people is very important too, just kind of throwing your name out there, because the more people hear about you, the more you gain traction, and, the more people know what you do and who you are. And in the business of sports, there's a saying that like, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. It's very important that, you start to build your resume, build your brand in a sense, right? So yeah, I would say that's why networking is very important.
Yeah, I love that because it's important because it also matters that you have the confidence and that you're not afraid to put yourself out there, because when people see that you're confident and you know that you're worth like the job, or you're a good fit for the job, like it makes you so much more valuable to them.
Yeah, 100%. And, before that specific business summit, I was kind of reluctant to actually go. There was a sign up link to sign up for the summit and for the networking event itself. And I was like, should I sign up? Should I put my resume out there? Like, should I really do it? And I'm like, I got nothing to lose, just I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to do it. And well, it ended up paying off because, I'm very blessed to say that I have a really good job, as an intern with the baseball team. And, I guess that's my advice to other students out there, just take the risk and put yourself out there. If you're really passionate about something, go do that.
Considering your journey from high school to the University of Texas, Macomb School of Business, what advice would you give high school students aspiring to pursue a business degree at a university known for its dynamic academic and social environment like UT?
I guess I have a couple pieces of advice. So the first one being that, during your time at UT or whatever college you decide to go to, right, decide to attend, just try and get the most out of your college experience. And what I mean by that is, it's one thing to, pursue the degree that you want and go to class and, try and get good grades and everything. But for me personally, the business school offers so many opportunities and so many resources to take advantage of to really advance your professional development. And, there are many colleges within UT also that do the same thing as well, so like spoke on before, like attending business summits and speaking events and really hearing from some of the greatest minds in business and people that are already doing it. It's so valuable. And, even joining clubs and organizations as well. I was in the marketing association for a couple of years at UT, and, I met some great people there. Got to go to some amazing speaking events, also hearing from some of the best minds in marketing. Yeah. So just, I would say that's one thing for sure. Just take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you aside from, the classes and the courses. As far as my second piece of advice, might sound a little cliche, but really, I would say follow your passions. Whatever your passion is, go at it 100%. As I mentioned before, I thought I was, when I first got to UT and even in high school, right? I thought I was going to go into finance. I thought I was going to, work on Wall Street and do the whole thing, right? But when I got there and, realized that it wasn't for me and really dug deep and found out what my passions were just based on everything I've done, throughout my life at the time, that's when I really started to, find more joy in what I'm doing and realized how, and that's when I kind of realized like, man, I'm pretty blessed to be able to do this, to be at UT and to pursue my passions and just do the best that I can at it, When you get to college, you don't have to know exactly what you want to do, but just explore your passions, try new things, and whatever that passion is, just go at it 100%. Trust me, it's going to end up paying off.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that great piece of advice, or those great pieces of advice. And thank you again for taking the time out of your day to sit here and chat with me about your college experience.
Of course. Thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. Today, I'm here with Julia Rodriguez of Brown University. So Julia, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with chat with us.
Hi, I'm very happy to be on here.
So first, tell us a little bit about your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at Brown University.
Well, I attended STIC World Scholars in Edinburgh, and I graduated in 2021. And I'm originally from Edinburgh. I decided to study public health at Brown because I knew that I would make valuable connections being in the Ivy League network. I would get a quality education from knowledgeable professors who have had many experiences. And I would also explore a new part of the US. I had never really explored the Northeast a lot. And of course, I loved the open curriculum that Brown offered.
Nice. So speaking of the open curriculum, on that note, so Brown is known for its open curriculum, unlike most of the universities. So how has the flexibility of the open curriculum shaped your academic journey? And have you discovered any unexpected passions through this approach?
Well, I'd say the open curriculum is amazing, mostly because it allows you to explore different topics early on. So you have a better idea of what you want to concentrate in. That's what we say instead of majoring in. So like instead of being bogged down with basic math or reading or whatever core requirements universities have, I was able to take classes in psychology, public health, neuroscience, public policy, and stats, like as a freshman. And through this program, I've taken classes that I think I would have never been able to take, and it's expanded my knowledge in ways that I think I wouldn't really be able to if I had to do core requirements. So for example, I was able to take a class over Latin America, an anthropology class, a class for heritage Spanish speakers, and a couple of other things, all while fulfilling my public health concentration requirements, because you kind of get the freedom to have a more well-rounded education. And the other thing is that our concentrations give us options for our requirements. So there are various classes that you can use to fulfill a elective. So for example, I have like a global health elective that I need to fulfill, and there's 4 classes that I could take. So it also gives you freedom on looking into topics that you care about while fulfilling your requirements. It's also allowed me to explore more specific aspects of the public health field. So I like policy, but I've also been able to look at maybe like an epidemiology, biostatistics avenue, or more of like a sciencey STEM avenue. So it's really good at helping you figure out what you want to do.
Wow, I love that. It's like a totally different perspective from other stories of different universities. So given Brown's diverse academic environment, I'm curious about your future plans. So can you share your thoughts on how your experiences at Brown have influenced your decision to apply to law school?
I had never really been interested in attending law school while I was in high school, because I was actually interested in psychology thanks to the IB Psych class. I really loved it. But once I got to Brown and I took psychology and neuroscience classes, I realized that it just wasn't for me. And then I took a public health law class, and that class just changed everything for me. I had an incredible professor, and I loved reading cases and talking about them with my classmates, because class discussions at Brown are really interesting. you've got people from everywhere, from all walks of life, kind of giving in their input. And sometimes they bring up things that you wouldn't even think about. And so it was amazing. And so after that class, I started taking more classes like in health policy. And I realized that I really enjoyed this part of public health more than like the statistics or sciencey part. I also talked to our amazing pre-law advisor at Brown, and he gave me some guidance on potentially getting a master's of public health while pursuing a law degree. So I have to say, Brown does have a lot of resources for its students, and the professors always want you to succeed. And, they're willing to meet with you during their office hours to kind of talk to you about maybe careers, internship opportunities, stuff like that. I've also been working at a law office since the pandemic. So I do have experience like in a legal environment, and I do like what they do. So that's kind of a combination of things that have led me to decide to go to law school.
Wow, I love that. Because you never know, like anything can happen to change like what you've been thinking all your life. So on to another note, with Brown being all the way in Providence, Rhode Island, did you ever feel homesick or uncomfortable? And if so, how did you overcome this challenge and cope with these new different feelings?
I definitely felt homesick, but weirdly, I felt more homesick as a junior than I did when I was a freshman. And I think that's partially because Brown really did a good job of helping freshmen acclimate. So they had a lot of activities the first few weeks. They had a lot of resources because you do have some international students who are coming way farther than I have. And they made these like mixers and stuff so you could meet friends. So that way, once you met friends, you could be doing things with them, and you weren't all like stuck in your room being upset or sad. But when I feel homesick now, since I'm not a freshman anymore, I like to go out and explore. So either by myself or with my friends, just to remind me of how lucky I am to be in this beautiful part of the country. I've visited so many places since moving to the Northeast. And I was actually in Montreal this past weekend because I've never lived so close to Canada in my life. So I kind of take it as an opportunity to learn more things and explore new cultures and meet different people. But I also like to write letters to my family so I can give them like postcards or little drawings or something. And they send me care packages, which kind of reminds me that, my family's at home and we care about each other. And I talk to them on the phone every day. Like FaceTime is an incredible tool. I don't know where I would be without it.
Wow, thank you for that story. I'm sure it'll help like incoming freshmen also feel like they're not alone, that other kids also experience the same things. So, considering your journey from high school to Brown University, what advice would you give to high school students who aspire to attend a top-tier Ivy League university like Brown?
I think the biggest piece of advice I could give them is to be authentic in their application. If you don't get into your dream school, that's totally okay. And I know that's kind of hard to hear as a high schooler, but I really wanted Yale when I was like a junior and a senior. I thought, that's it. That's my school. I belong there. And I got rejected from Yale, but I got into Brown. And now that I'm at Brown as a junior, I really can't imagine being anywhere else. I was like, why would I can't believe I wanted Yale. I love Brown so much. So I think that schools are really good at picking out students that fit their environment. And so you'll end up where you belong and you'll be happy. So that's why you have to be yourself in your application. And I've also heard that from other people, like not to do everything. I know that you want to come off as impressive, like doing all of these extracurriculars, but I think the better thing is to pick a couple of things that you love, focus on them, kind of hone in on that, and then talk about your experiences in your application. Because, what makes you stand out to these schools? Like, what makes you different? What will you contribute to their student body? Like my whole set of experiences that I've written about in my application, I guess Brown said, well, she'd make a good addition to our community considering what she brings to the table. So be authentic, do what you love and talk about your life experiences because they're looking for all sorts of people. And the other thing is, I don't know how important the SAT is nowadays. I don't even know if they require it anymore, but definitely study for the SAT because the SAT isn't really about how smart you are per se, but it's how well do you know the test. You can totally study for it and get a really high score. I studied for it for about 2 years, and I think super score I ended up getting a 1540. out of 1600. I don't know how they do it nowadays, but that's because I studied. You kind of recognize the questions and you figure out how to answer them. So that's another important thing. I think that's a component that schools look at. And if you do well in that, that helps as well. But of course, the normal thing, high GPA, good curriculars. But I've had people message me asking me, how did you get into Brown and how do I get into Brown? And I tell them there's no formula for an application that will 100% guarantee be accepted into Brown. It doesn't really work like that. So that's why I always tell people, like, just pick out what you think makes you stand out and talk about it and just be real.
Wow. Yeah, I love that because I've been told that by many people, also friends, family members that also attend college. And it's really comforting to hear because you don't have to do it all. Like I used to think I had to do it all and be in all these things, but hearing that you just have to focus on what you really like, it's comforting to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. I was in newspaper because I loved writing. I was in mariachi and I loved dancing. I have some people who had done like Model UN and all of these crazy other things, like going to Africa or something on a health mission or something like that. And we both go to Brown, It's just we have different experiences.
Yeah, and getting all these different perspectives, different backgrounds, different stories all at one place, like it's really good to hear. So, thank you so much. That concludes the interview. Thank you so much for your time and for this great advice and stories.
Yes, thank you so much. I love speaking to people and talking to them about college because it is a hard and it can be kind of scary. So
Yes.
it makes me happy that I can communicate to other high schoolers.
Thank you so much, Julia. So today I'm here with Zach West of Texas A&M University. Thank you for joining today, Zach.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's get started. First, tell us a little bit about your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at Texas A&M.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off by saying that I actually grew up a Longhorn. So uh, my dad didn't go there or my mom, but just being from Texas, I kind of gravitated towards Longhorn athletics. So I kind of followed football and I was a fan for a long time. And then I'd say like sophomore year when I started becoming more serious about looking into universities, A&M kind of popped up and I became more serious about that. But yeah, of course, growing up a Longhorn, it was tough making the decision.
So are you like enjoying it? Like was it the right decision?
Oh yeah.
Being at Texas A&M, being a part of the Corps of Cadets is a unique aspect of the Texas A&M experience. So can you share any valuable lessons or experiences gained from the distinctive program?
It's hard to kind of like dwindle it down to one experience or maybe one takeaway. But I guess, freshman year is a difficult year. First of all, it's your first year in college in general. And then the Corps Cadets is something I've never experienced. I was never in like JROTC in high school or anything. So I was never around any of that. So acclimating was very difficult, but all of those, difficult experiences and everything that went into being in the Corps, waking up early and working out with your guys and just having like a more disciplined lifestyle, it all kind of like culminated into like one shared experience between all of us, and it ended up being very beneficial to me. So again, it's hard to like pick one experience, but everything that I've experienced so far has really made me who I am today, and I owe a lot to the Corps. So
Wonderful memories made, I'm sure, so far.
But
Because the Corps is known to be demanding and disciplining along with your academic responsibilities, can you share some insights on how you've managed this balance between the two?
yeah, I said it earlier. It was really hard going in just cold turkey
Yeah.
into the core. There's a week that kind of is supposed to acclimate you to the environment. But I guess like the main thing about balancing that lifestyle is doing your work early and not procrastinating. It's such a generic answer, but it really is a key. And it's something that I kind of like figured out later on. But yeah, just doing your work early, waking up and getting it done before class or in the morning.
Mhm.
It's not good to put off your work until 11 o'clock and then having to wake up at 5:30. It's kind of messes with you. But also, I guess it's important to note that you have to surround yourself by like-minded people. So I've always thought it was really important to make friends that actually like benefit you.
Mhm.
So that's also one of the reasons why I joined the Corps, because I wanted to be around people who want to better themselves, and they kind of have the same aspirations as me. So that's also very important, is who you're surrounding yourself with. So,
Absolutely. Like the saying, like, you are who you hang out with.
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah,
for
I
sure.
love that.
It's so true.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of like College Station and your environment, College Station is known for its strong sense of community. So, how has the local environment influenced your college experience? And are there any favorite spots or activities in College Station that you find contribute to the overall charm of being a student there?
I would say the football games, or just the athletic games in general,
Yeah.
football, basketball, baseball, all of them, they're a great way for a university that big to kind of like create a closer knit culture.
Mhm.
So A&M is like the number 2 biggest college in the nation. But I think we're also one of the closest groups. And it's also because we have certain traditions like, I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's silver taps and muster. There's 2 very important traditions that we have that the Corps runs.
Mm.
They basically commemorate Aggies who have fallen.
Oh, wow.
Muster is commemorating Aggies who have fallen during the year. And so it's super somber, it's super sad, but and it's held in a basketball arena. But
Mm.
you just see like a packed arena full of students commemorating these fallen Aggies. And it's super special, and it really brings us together. I'd
Yeah.
say those events just in general bring us together the most. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that. That's so special. Like just to come together, like despite everything, to honor people.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite. Muster is definitely my favorite tradition.
Considering your journey from high school to Texas A&M, what advice would you give high school students considering to go to a university like A&M?
It's kind of cliche, but my answer to that is follow your gut. Super generic again, but it's so true. Again, I grew up an Aggie, a Longhorn, and up until sophomore year, that's really all that was on my mind. I'm going to UT. But again, when I started looking into colleges more seriously and I actually toured them and I learned more about A&M, I kind of knew in my gut that I wanted to go to A&M. And so there was kind of like a point in time where I wanted to go to UT in my brain,
Mm.
but my gut was telling me otherwise. It was telling me to go to A&M.
Yeah.
And so I kept like pushing A&M off, but you just can't do that. You have to go where you want to go.
Mhm.
Uh, and it kind of also goes along with what you want to do. You don't want to find yourself in a career that you don't want to be in, right? Because
Right.
it's hard to find motivation to do that work. It's pretty hard to be in an environment that you don't like and
Exactly.
still perform.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, I guess an example could be if a student applied to 2 colleges. A was a super prestigious college that was like hard to get into, and really good academics. but the culture just like maybe wasn't to their liking. And the second college was maybe like a lower level college, but it's like it fits their vibe and it's really where they want to go in their gut. I would say go with B.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal choice opinion, but that's really important. You have to go where you want to go.
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody should know that, because I guess the prestigious schools, like, I guess it's good to say, oh, I got in here, I'm going here. But if you're not really happy there, then for what, you know? And like, I totally understand where if you're not happy, you're not going to perform.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I only applied to Texas A&M and OU,
Oh,
Oklahoma.
wow.
Those are the only two colleges I applied to.
Growing up a Longhorn all your life, that's
Yeah,
kind of contradicting.
I did not even apply.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I knew where I wanted to end up, either OU and A&M. And yeah, I just didn't really look at like prestigious schools because I really just wanted to go where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I knew A&M was the right fit for me.
Yeah. With the culture, the people, experiences, everything.
Yeah. And the core really had a big part in that too.
Yeah.
I mean, the core is super there's only one, right? And it's super specialized and it's something that I wanted to do, and there's only one school to do it at. So
Well, thank you for all this insight and wonderful anecdotes and stories and advice also. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to tell me all this.
of course, thank you.
Thank you. So today I'm here with Gerardo Dermenio of TCU. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first, let's get started with a little bit about your background and why you chose to pursue a degree at TCU.
Yeah, so I went to OLS middle school, and then I went to IB for my 4 years of high school. I did the NYP program and the DP program, and thankfully I got my IB diploma, so it was a good time. I mean, for my background, I'm a bio major on the pre-med track, and I'm gonna have a chemistry minor with a cultural awareness and health minor too. I decided to go to TCU just because it gave me the same like small classroom environment that IB had, which I really liked. And so you could form like a more personal connection with your teachers, which I think leads to like better learning. And then it also has one of the best chemistry programs in the country. And it has the highest acceptance to medical school in Texas, I believe. I think we're seeing at 82% of people who apply get into medical school. And then, yeah, my brother's there, which also helped out. And my roommate also went to IB, and we grew up together. So it was just kind of an easy choice. I want to stay in Texas for sure, and I was in between TCU and UT, but I decided to go to TCU.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So being like, you graduated just in May, transitioning to college life is a significant step. So as a freshman, after having completed your first semester, can you share your initial impressions and experiences, and what aspects of TCU have stood out to you so far?
There's not as much hand holding in college as there is in IB. I know a lot of courses in IB still give out syllables that you and your parents sign in the beginning or you're supposed to look over. But in college, that's like a really big part of it. Some classes only go off the syllabus. So if it says you have a quiz or an exam that day and the teacher hasn't prefaced it, you're still going to have to take it even though she didn't say anything about it because it's on the syllabus.
Wow.
Which I mean happened once or twice, but then like you'll learn. You should probably check the syllabus a couple of times before class. And everyone's very nice at TCU, and I was really surprised by all of the help resources that they have. So obviously teachers offers office hours that you can go and you can actually have like one-on-one time with them and you can book it. And then they have tutoring. So they have tutoring in which students that have passed taking the class, and obviously they have to have a certain grade in the class. I think it's an A. It's either A minus through an A plus, or it's an A through an A plus, and they get to tutor other students on behalf of TCU because they get certified, and then they teach them like the appropriate ways to tutor and how you should go about it. And on top of that, you have your TAs, which help you during class. And then there's just so many resources like across. There's people that can help you in the library. There's study rooms that you can book with your friends in order to study together. There's like a writing center that if you have to write something for a different class, it doesn't have to be English. You can send it in and they'll offer you edits and suggestions, which is very good. And yeah, there's just so many resources. Even like if you're having a rough time and you need to talk to somebody, they have a couple of therapists like on campus that you can go to. And they have this building, it's called Jarvis Building. It's right next to one of the dorms, and they have nap rooms in there too, like if you need a quiet place to go to bed. So I don't know, there's just so many resources available,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like just taking care of the students all the time. So, having just graduated this past May, do you feel your experience at IB Lamar prepared you for the challenges and opportunities you've encountered so far?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of the classes there are very much college like oriented, or the way college classes would be, like especially with the material and the rigors of like the rigorous classes. NYP is for sure, but I think especially going into the DP program, like you're gonna get like a feel of how college is like, or like the classes. Um, all my teachers and English last year basically like prepared me very well. Like there's not a lot of struggling going on, even when I talk to other like IB students, but I can't speak for them. For myself, I haven't really struggled in any class. I had a pretty successful semester thanks to my like preparation, but I was aware like coming from IB, you think every other school does it like IB, so you'll get there and you'll think everyone is as much prepared as you are, but the truth is they're not. So when I got there, I would like help my friends out writing their essays and stuff for like English majors, like constructing good thesis statements and then like following the rules that I remember Miss Calvillo told us like it can't be specific and you can't like mention certain names. So just things like that. And then like even bio or math, I think IB prepares you very well, especially chemistry too, because chemistry is a pretty tough subject across the board in most universities, and IB does a very good job of preparing students for that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's good to know, like for me going into DP next year and for current DP students also. So TCU emphasizes a holistic education. So beyond academics, have you explored any extracurricular activities or campus organizations that have added to your college experience?
Yeah, I'm a part of a couple things. So obviously, like going in, I wanted to do things with my major, which I said was biology. So I'm part of the bio club, and then I'm part of the chemistry club too, which is we meet every week, and you just kind of do things around those topics. So it's like either some students actually study for those courses, or like there's some things that they teach within those organizations as well. And then I'm part of the in clinical observation organization, which basically they take doctors and physicians around the region and they'll book what hours are available for students to shadow. And then you just go on a Google form and you fill out what hours you want to shadow. You look at the schedule and then you send your name in. And you can go basically any weekend or any day to shadow a specific kind of doctor that you would want to see. So you can see kind of like what field you're going into. And then I rushed a fraternity this semester, so I'm proud to say I'm an active member of Delta Tau Delta at TCU. And then within that, there's also a bunch of organizations. So you have obviously like the executive branch, which is what runs a fraternity. So the president, the vice president, the head of new member education, like all the secretaries. And within it, there's actually so many opportunities because you meet people that are in different organizations across campus. So my roommate, who's a business major, he wants to join Neely Fellows, which is part of the business school, and it's like the very elite club, and we have a lot of members in our fraternity in it, so it's a good connection to have going into it. And also because TCU is just very organization heavy, and like you really want to get involved on campus. So I'm
Yeah.
looking to get involved in student government soon, but I don't know what I would run for yet.
That's awesome. Yeah, like the little steps preparing for your career.
Yeah.
So considering your journey from high school to college, what advice would you give us IB Lamar students aspiring to attend a university like TCU?
I would say work hard, definitely. My junior year, I was, I don't want to boast or sound arrogant, but I remember my junior year, my class, we were working very hard, especially because after COVID happened, we were going to have the first full round of IB exams again. So we knew it was going to be a little more challenging. And we worked very hard. And because of that, I think just surrounding yourself with people that push you to be better and challenge yourself. Like, you want to surround yourself with people that you want to help the people who may be struggling a little more than you if they're inclined to receive help. But you also want to study with people who you know are maybe smarter than you, because it'll push you to do better. And that's what my grade did. And obviously we were lucky to get into like very good schools. We had TCU, we had Macombs at UT, we had Harvard, MIT, Yale, like all across the board. But I would say work hard. Working hard is kind of just like a very broad statement. So I would say get with your teachers. And before I even got into IB, this has always stuck with me. Before I even got into IB, we went to the library because we were going over the summer reading project with Miss Molina and Miss Allen, who were my freshman English teachers. And Miss Allen said, and I'll never forget it, she looked at us all and she said, at some point in every year of your IB career, you're going to need to ask for help. Be smart enough to ask for it, and don't just be prideful. So that stuck with me. I mean, if you need help and you're struggling, it doesn't make you like a worse student or any less if you go to your teacher or you stay after class. So I would say that. And take advantage of the resources IB gives. Join IB, join IBVO, join the clubs you want to join, try for Science Olympia, try for mock trial. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's great advice, like to hear from a former IB student who, from what I can hear, like did it right. Well, thank you so much for these stories and this advice. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. That wraps up this episode of the Inside Scoop College Life Edition. I'd like to thank my listeners for tuning in. The biggest takeaways from today's episode were: 1. Follow your passion. 2. Surround yourself with like-minded people that'll help you succeed. And 3. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Whether you're ready to pursue a future in higher education or are still considering it, I hope this episode of real stories of college life provided you with insight and encouragement to follow your dreams. To each of our very accomplished and insightful guests, Flavia, Stefano, Olivia, Derek, Julia, Zach, and Gerardo, thank you for sharing your experiences and wisdom. I wish you all the very best as you continue your college journey.